I'm explaining this picture, this Figler Farm estate, my grandfather's estate. My grandfather and grandparents came over from Hungary right, right after the First World War. I think my grandmother and grandparents were married. My grandmother was about 15 or 16, and my grandfather was about, he must have been 17 or 18. They got married very young. And my grandparents came over here, and they moved to Bridgeport, and then they eventually moved out to Fairfield. And my grandfather never went beyond 5th grade, self-educated, but he could do everything. He was a butcher, a baker, and a candlestick maker. He was a beekeeper, and if you know anything about beekeeping, it's a very complicated business. He had very bad arthritis. He couldn't even walk my mother down the aisle when she was first married, when she was 18. He was about 45. He had bad arthritis. And he used to go into the beehives, and I used to go in with him. I was 10 years old. And he had a mask on, and I'd stand about 5 or 6 feet behind him. And he'd have the bees all over him. He was taking the honeycombs out of the beehives, and the bees would come and they'd sting his hands. They'd be all in his hands, and he let them sting him. And he found out later on from a doctor that there's something in a bee sting that was good for arthritis. And believe it or not, it worked. He very seldom ever went to a doctor, by the way. He self-healed on everything. First of all, they were farmers, and they had their own cows, chickens, vegetables. Everything was homegrown. The only fertilizer that they used, never an artificial, was cow manure. They never used any artificial fertilizers.